Cassian Andor. He's a rebel spy, super bad friend. Give you a hug at the very end. Make that man feel like 100. He's the rogue one for me. Pick you ass up, he's not in the show. Is he a fish or a thief? He's Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor.
With MakingStarWars.net.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. How's it going, Rob? I can't hear Rob. Can Rob hear me? I don't.
Yeah, I was just saying if I could do the silent thing with a ghost, and if it doesn't play the same.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Yeah, I just thought we were having technical difficulties.
Yesterday's the first day. Some people wanted me to talk, Jason.
They just want you to do the opposite of whatever you're doing all the time.
You tried to put in every little bit in there with the Andors and the Kenobis and something about my mom, like all that stuff. None of it worked, Jason.
All right. Today.
Hold on. I got to turn my monitor upside down. Give me a second.
That's fair.
All right.
Today we got Bell Analysis with TV's Jimmy Smits.
Bill,
You guys ready? Yeah.
I did not know that was coming. That is one of the coolest words I've ever heard.
Yeah. We've been Bill analyzing for a long time now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
What's happened, George?
Ever since I made him I went from a white guy to a TV guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was Adrian Dunbar in The Phantom Menace for about 2 minutes. I think it made its way into a sticker book and then a cutscene. And then for Attack of the Clones, Jimmy Smits came in. TV's Jimmy Smits. I used to call him that just to be stupid. And then now that he's in all of the Star Wars TV shows, he's back to being TV's Jimmy Smits.
Yeah. No, that's how I hired him. And that other guy thought, he'd pop off on set. But so I told him, I'll put you in the sticker book with Marsha, that lightsaber scene from Jedi, and most of Kurtz's directorial pictures.
Okay. Yeah. So what happened is a picture has come out that appears to be from the editing bay of Andor, showing Bail Organa in Andor in a sentence sequence, and there's some stuff going for the image and there's some stuff going against the image. And up front, this is not a one-to-one kind of fit, but I was able to analyze the image against the Rise of Skywalker editing bay stuff, and it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit for what it's worth. But also, this was filmed on different cameras and different editors and stuff like that. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily apply, as George would know. George makes his movies in the edit. Also,
I mostly make them with a Dijkstra flex,
which at the end of the day is just an exercise machine, right?
I wouldn't know about exercise.
It's actually a scissoring machine. Think about it. Anyways,
it uses up your energy. Exercise. So I don't do it.
So the image itself, we'll put it up on the screen. This is the screen. This is the image that leaked.
Oh, little Hitler. Look at that.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily line up with what Ahsoka's leaked. So it's not from the Ahsoka's image of Yaddle from Tales of the Jedi. God, this stuff's getting so convoluted. Basically, it ended up, it doesn't line up to that either. Doesn't mean that it's fake at all or it's real. I'm just letting you guys know that this stuff isn't like a one-to-one with any of the other things. I was looking for a couple of tall tale signs about the editing software that was being used or what this was on screen.
Yeah.
Nothing I could work off of. So
This looks like something Chet would make in Mid-Journey. That's the thing he uses.
what's Mid-Journey?
Uh, I'm not a tech guy,
You
so
know
I
what,
don't know.
George?
I don't really
Yeah.
know.
All right.
I'm gonna go find out. Hold on.
So up top, this image from Google on
Oh,
the
yeah.
left of him with so the image is flipped is what I could
It
figure
flipped.
out. Yeah, like you can tell by the part in his hair. And then but a couple of things like it does look like it's the same picture. It does look like it's like the same face
Bro,
almost.
that head looks like it's a warped version on the one on the left, like in contrast it up. Like if I had to put
Sorry, the
maybe
one on the you mean the leaked image is warped?
the leaked image, yeah.
It's crushed.
Because if you look at the one on the left, that you take that head, I'm in Photoshop now. I take it, I warp it, I stretch it up, I high contrast it. I mean, your little warp tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. I mean, what are the odds a guy would make the same smirk looking up with the flipped hairdo?
He's fucking GB's Jimmy Smits, bro.
He is talented. I'm not saying he isn't talented. All right.
If you want two takes,
to me,
like Smits is in takes. He's in the fucking zone, and we got this fucking LA Law motherfucker who is just like second day on a fucking law set, and he comes on and he fucks the take up, and they're like, Jimmy, we want the same magic from the last take. Jimmy will give it to you, man. So
Jimmy Smits is the uncle I wanted, and Saul Guerrero is the uncles I
got. Fair.
It's kind of how it worked.
Yeah. So anyways, looking at it though, you can see that that's his costume on the right from Revenge of the Sith. That's his costume from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But this one in the middle here is a different texture. So they would with different pleat. I don't know what you call that. The lines running through it.
Maybe
the
that
collar
was something,
looks different.
Something, if that is a fake, maybe that's something Urso, the dude, the scars,
Galen Urso
wore in Rogue One, because it's very, you know what I mean? Like kind of has like a Galen Urso look to it.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't know if this is a costume I've seen before. So if somebody else recognizes it, let me know. I mean, the biggest thing going against it though is that when you flip this image on the left, I feel that it does really, really fucking line up very, very well. If I was to just crush that head, I could probably put it right over
Crushing your head.
Yeah, I mean, well, and then look at the facial hair too. It's really fucking similar. Like facial hair changes day to day, minute to minute, unless that's a fake fucking goatee he's wearing in Kenobi, and it's the same fake goatee he's wearing in that show. I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Cheap,
Yeah. I mean,
save a buck or two.
Yeah. So going against it, let me know what you guys think in the chat too. Are you guys complete? Like, does that image in the very center next to the leaked one? Does that convince you it's fake?
The way that's warped, man, it's kind of like Mumbles and Dick
it's
Tracy.
a picture. It's a picture of a. I know. But here's the thing.
It is warped.
I've been given hundreds of pictures just like that are just that warped because of being taken off of a monitor. Even the one from Ahsoka just a couple of days ago that you were laughing at actually.
I was laughing at that. What we're supposed to take from that photo because of the cropping, like that. I didn't say whether it was fake or not based on. I just couldn't know what the fuck we're supposed to be looking at.
So the other
here
thing
we
is,
can clearly see what we're looking at. I mean, look, it's possible that they just nailed that look. No,
it completely is, and it's possible that Jimmy Smits looks good from a specific angle. Not that he looks bad from another one, but that there's the magic Smits angle, and that they're getting it here, and they got it there. But another thing is, this says on the front, by the way, in case you don't know, is Pilgrim. And that is the code name for Andor. What else is going against this image? I don't believe anybody who's seen the first 4 episodes has said that this is from it. That Smits was in it. No one has told me. There was a Bespin Bulletin article from about 2 years ago that said that he was in Andor. So Bespin Bulletin doesn't bullshit. So there was some reason to believe that back then. And so we have a Bespin Bulletin article saying it was happening, but it also could have been wires crossed on Kenobi for what it's worth. And then, but here's the other part that I wanted to get into: the Senate pods. So when you look at up top here in the back right, you can see that the podium has that raised part on it. The part for that Mon Mothma has in the very bottom, it's the Imperial Senate version. These are called repulsor pods. If you're a fucking dork, I am, so I know this. And
I can confirm.
If you care about the intricacies of the Imperial Senate, you know it's a fucking repulsor pod, bro.
Really? Someone's gonna correct us with the correct pronunciation in the comments.
Yeah.
You wait.
Probably. So anyways, but we could see Palpatine right here in the corner one from the Phantom Menace. You could see like the raised podium. So you could put his chocolate milk and his goldfish in there, right there, and have his little snack while he does his senating. The Imperial Senate, no, you just you get a little. They want to know if you get a boner in class and want to laugh at you, so they made it down lower so they can make fun of you. So, but when you look up in the right hand corner here, sorry, when you go up, you can see it better here. In the right hand corner here, you can see that it definitely has the raised ridge. So yeah, I mean, Bespin and I have been going back and forth on this one all morning. He is also talking to some Photoshop experts, and they have also concluded that it's the same photo. So I'm gonna go with this one likely being fake, but Bespin says exposure and brightness turned up a lot. Look at the shine in the hair specifically. Look at the hair shine. See the hair shine? So the hair shine specifically is what.
It's just the fact that they normally, man, they've never combed his hair that way. And that's just something to me that, like, I mean, publicists get involved with shit like that. Like, if he has a part that, like they really do get involved in stuff. And I just wonder, like, would they change Bale's part for, like, the part?
Well, no. See, what I'm showing you, what I am showing you is on the very left here. It's from Kenobi, okay?
Right, the part's on the right.
And then I took that picture and flipped it here on the right. Correct. And then it lines up. So what it means is, even if this image was real, it is a flipped image. It does happen sometimes. His head isn't even
shaped like that, though, dude. Look. I'm just telling you. I get. There's an angle with someone's camera pointing at a screen. All right. I get all that stuff. I get the angle and shit. I kind of know a little something about perspective.
Sure.
What I would say is, if that's the way his head looks in a shot, he needs to talk to his publicist needs to phone someone up and say, perhaps you should watch certain angles. I mean, they do. I mean, if he were a nobody, it looks weird. It looks almost, his head looks penciler, like a pencil, a little pencil head. Look, I may be way off on this. I'll say 51% I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
But 49% of me says that shit is a badly photoshopped fucking image.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. I mean, no, I like what Bespin says. The shine is one of the tells, and
but it's possible they just flipped the shot for the scene, and that's the way it is. And it, they needed. Cameras crossing left and right and shit. They needed to flip, and who cares about the part, right? So that's why I said, look, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. We've been getting a lot of like positive. It's just a weird image to be fucking flipping, unless someone out there is. I don't follow all the chatter, Jason. Is there a whole thing now where like the ultra Star Wars rights need to have this guy in their show to prove it's all about men or something? Like,
well, I'm not gonna post the image just because I want to protect ancient sources, from the past. And but I'm gonna send you a picture of something right now. And what I'm gonna show you, Rob, and I'm sorry I can't show you guys, everyone in the chat. It's just the way it is. But what I'm gonna show you is a picture, like I said, of the opening crawl from episode 9 and from the editing bay. It's real.
Because he's neither
And
fox nor frog in this photo. But in his normal photos, he's a little froggish. Like, that's all I'm
right.
saying. That fox or frog thing might pan out.
Well, so like the image that Ahsoka's leaked, it's all in the image. So I don't feel like I'm outing anything. There's literally evidence that it is from the Yaddle scene was from a voice over session of some kind. It literally,
but
it's
look
in
how
the
light
data on screen.
Folks can't see it, but on your pic, Jason, look how light watermarks are and stuff. Here, it's like they're right in your fucking face, so you know. Like, I'm like, who can like if you're working on a shot and the watermark is so heavy, like how you know what I mean? It could get in the way of editing if it's too up front. Like, it just needs to be watermarked. It doesn't have to be like they're not proving it to people. It's there, so if it leaks, they know where it came from, or for legal reasons, we warn them. We own this. It's just so right in the fucking face of stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
But look, if you had sent me this, right? Hold on. If you had sent me this image, and I'm being honest, like let's say right after like a year after The Last Jedi, and we don't know the name of this movie, right? Right? If you had sent me that image, I would look at the name of that movie and be like, that is so fucking stupid, it's real.
Yeah.
Because you see what I'm saying? Like there's certain truths like
wait, Pilgrim?
No, the one you sent me on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like I would you go, what do you think? If you had sent me this, the one on Twitter, and I had seen that without knowing, I'd be like, that's so fucking dumb. It's real. You know
what's funny is when sources send you the opening crawl of a Star Wars movie, it's the most easy thing to fake, and it's literally worthless. It's not until you tell them that and they go, oh yeah, and then they start sending you the rest that you go, oh, so that's what the opening crawl looks like when it's being worked on.
Right, but I can see like screen blur and more in a way that, you know what I mean, it's on an actual, I don't know, man. I just look at this and I'm like, that head looks so tall. It's Beavis and Butthead like that's got to be a real distorted angle. I mean, when I say distorted, like, I don't know, man. Like that looks stretched to me.
The image itself, yeah, and this is where I'm a failure, is that it like or whatever. The image itself is taken from an angle already, and I didn't know if that was exacerbating the vibe of how he does look a little bit of like an eraser head, compared to his normal self. So, but I am in the camp that it's fake, because really the only thing it has going for it, in my opinion, is the fact that the costume fabric looks different, but I'm sure Photoshop experts could change that very easily. So it's also
you said the fabric, you'd have to like, I mean, matching folds is tough. You basically, the easiest way, generally the people who do this don't have as much talent as they think they do. So what they tend to do is they'll just grab some other body. Maybe they're doing a photo, but the minute they do a color change, they have to do gradient maps and other work. So they'll try to grab someone else if that body came from somewhere. You know what I mean? And maybe.
I mean, a couple of things I wanted to look up was like his aids that he has in Revenge of the Sith. I didn't get a chance to look up. I only had so much time. I put together the best little presentation I could for the show today, but yeah, I mean, it could be from another scene in Kenobi I'm not thinking of too, as far as the body goes.
It feels though, if that were a color graded shot of some bit though, that the head would look. I'm gonna teach you guys a little art lesson here, right?
Okay.
Called Carson's Theories of Angles. And if you ever want to paint, and I mean, what's it matter now? Because AI is going to do all the painting for people. Artists are irrelevant. They're all dead. It's all future AI. All hail the AI overlords. So like, but if you wanted to practice in this old art of painting, Carson's Theories of Angles is a way to break down value and color structure, right? The value of color in the real world in 4 easy steps. When I say value, black and white. So every color has a black and white value and tone. Okay. And so in the real world, on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being the brightest, 4 being the darkest, you want to break things down in 4 values. Okay. Not white and black, just right under white and right above black. Okay. So the sky is 1, because the sky is where the sun comes from, or this global light sources, right? 2, the second darkest thing would be the ground floor. The third darkest thing would be any angled surface, like rocks, right? Anything that has like an angled surface to it. And the fourth, the darkest thing in the image would be vertically straight items, like trees, people. They would appear darker.
That's darker than a former New York socialite buried under the 18th hole of a golf course.
Very clever, very clever.
You're welcome.
But so I bring this up because when you're looking at it, like the light is the sky, light is coming from the sky in this thing. His head would be way darker.
Well, okay,
way darker.
Number one, I completely I agree with you. Like I said, I'm in the camp that this image is likely fake at this point. Okay, like I'm in camp fake. Just to be clear, but this could also not be a finished shot. This could be the Senate's not real, obviously, so it could be a bad composite. It can be lit to get his face. I'm just throwing it out there that like about how this image could go on in that way. Like when it has the big water, like sometimes you'll see like this stuff right here where it does have a watermark on the front, and when the watermark is there, like you'll see like fucking sometimes I'll see like the Senate pods might have big black boxes around them and shit because it's just like not done, and so there's a lot of reasons.
I'm grabbing the
this,
image. You just sent me the real image. I'm putting it in Photoshop.
Yeah.
So the contrast is different. So my monitor's calibrated for all my color work, right?
Okay.
So it's not nearly as like, it's not nearly as contrasty as it would appear here on the stream for whatever reason. So I'll give it that 1. I'm gonna do a quick value check just to see.
Let me hit Reskov's comment here while you do that. Also, if it was real, would Lucasfilm try to take it down for copyright? So this goes a couple of different ways, Reskov. The first is that Lucasfilm has a policy where they do not comment on leaks, because then we could just like keep getting them to comment and then find out the real information. Like by going, oh, there's a rumor that so-and-so's in it. Is that true? Then they would, then we know it's not. Then that actually tells us everything that source is saying is probably fake, and they kind of want there to be disinfo. But they don't make it, as far as I know, but they want us to make it for them. And then their hands are clean and they're able to get away scot-free. Now, when do they tend to go after an image or go after something? Like, for instance, in the past, I posted actual like pictures of like, when Ray sees Taco Donna for the first time, posted that pic. Nothing happened. Posted the pic of Hux looking at Finn when he's wanted with Captain Phasma. Nothing happened. The images got around everywhere. Nothing happened. The reason being is that by going and taking those images down, they confirm that they are real. Now we're in a little bit of a different era where I think if I was to go, for instance, and post that today, they'd probably take it down because people would believe it was real from me.
All right, so I'm looking at this image.
Yeah,
and there's a couple key flags I have here. One,
so I am right. You want to put it on the screen, or can you not? It's up to. I'm just asking.
You can look at it right there. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So, but if you do a value check, his head is the brightest thing on the image. I mean, that still stands. 2, like I'm looking just at the colors, and his face right now, man, and eyeballs all have the same color. This looks like a gradient map. Like face, like they took a gradient map over the face with a little peach and a little brown to create like a skin tone to make it work or something. And you can see if you zoom in on the image, there's a halo around the face area, almost like a brush. Yeah, and that can be artifact. I'm not saying it can't be, but it looks, I mean, look, this is going to get harder and harder with AI. Like, I was just thinking about this, like, yesterday. Like, how crazy is it going to be really quickly when... I can't say their names because I don't want to accuse them of stuff. But people online who make up fucking Star Wars stories all the time, right, to grift YouTube, they're very quickly going to get to go into Midjourney, Dolly, Wombo, all these places, and just type in a fucking actor's name.
Yeah, Jimmy Smits in the Senate with spaceman suit. and then there you go.
And it will fucking conjure it up.
Yeah.
You know, and then they'll just paint over it when it doesn't look right, and then you're gonna get these images. You know, like that's happening super fast. So, what can't go away though is even when they do it, I can look at, and I've looked at all the AI stuff, and I can tell you when a human hasn't made something. And the reason why I bring it, especially a grown adult, because in T-shirts, so go take you back to T-shirt land, folks, where I worked on professional T-shirts. The thing I had the biggest issue with when I started working on T-shirts was that I drew too well, quote unquote, like I'm quote unquoting my fingers up in the air. I'd have to like, if I put something on a shirt and I wanted it to be funny or relatable, I had to like to draw it poorly. Like there came a point where you're like, it's people, when something's drawn at a technical level, people have a higher, how do I say, a higher opinion. I don't mean opinion.
Are you kind of like getting at like the better it gets, the closer you come to an uncanny valley kind of vibe?
No. Okay, no? The more something looks like Beavis and Butthead, the more, okay, like on TV like animation, the reason why TV animation generally works, when it works, it's because people can, if someone can draw the character, if anybody can draw the character, it's relatable. Do you understand what I'm saying? When those things start to look like, say, Klaus, the great, it's super brilliant looking animated thing, or Arcane, or a Disney movie, like a really high quality 2D Disney cartoon. Right. It exits the realm of relatable and into the realm of technical skill, right? Like you got to go, oh, it's my style. It's not my style. I like that. I don't like this. So you have to like draw kind of dumb, and AI draws inherently stupid. Like I know people are like, they're fascinated by it. And I'm like, oh no, this is totally, it's breaking all sorts of things because I fucking understand how shit's constructed. And the AI doesn't understand how the human perceives things. Until the AI can look at it the way a human does and go, does that work for a human or not? It's building things on numbers and algorithms. People right now are just sort of enamored with being able to do it in the same way that you and I were enamored, and George, with making a digital movie, right? But what are the ramifications of making a digital movie? When it all looks like dog shit. Well, he's a tech guy. I'm not a tech guy. Anyway, long story short, this looks like a gradient mapped phase. Yeah. Like you can just see it. Like look at this again. If you look at
the more I'm staring at the side by side picture I did with the flipped image from the left on the right of the fake image, the more I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that it's the same picture for sure.
Yeah, and if you do the squint test, you can kind of see the values in actual cinema. Like the photo op from the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones or whatever, that's a high contrast key light scenario. There's a big fucking light on his top left keying down on him, right? So he's brighter there than you would normally be. But in the real world, like right there where that volume is simulating real light, right? Real diffused light. Diffused meaning it hits more in the grays. It's like chromatic grays. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like his suit and his shadow areas are dark, but he's not. He's like a 3 on a like on a value of 1 to 4. His palette is still a 3. Yeah. And the brightest part is that rim and that whatever. Yeah. See, like that is. I've never seen the Senate. The only way that works is if the Senate was being lit the way it was in Attack of the Clones, right, with a blue screen,
or if it's not finished. Like I said, because I mean they're gonna go and they're gonna probably just light him if they were when they filmed these scenes, for instance. They probably don't light him like he's in the Senate. They probably just light him and then fucking do some digital fucking work after. Wouldn't you say?
There's some grading to be done, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm looking at it here, and I mean, his eyeball, if I zoom in, his eyeball is fucking human peach, bro. Like where's the fucking, and his eyeball, like his irises are brown. Where's the deepest deep with the glint reflection that comes in an eye? Like one of the things they did on Avatar, to bring up Avatar, the first film, that a lot of people don't understand, is they recreated the way the eyes reflect light that had never been done before. And it's this, he gets into it Cameron gets into it a bit on his, that master class he did, right? Yeah. You can find it if you don't want to pay for it, folks. It's easy. And it's actually a fantastic master class. Like it's one of the few I'm like, you should all watch this. Because he goes through scenes in Terminator 1 all the way through, like real making shit. But he gets into like the fucking eyes didn't glint, reflect light the right way. They all like did.
Does
what
he?
thought it
Does it
should
get
look.
in? Does it get in how to handle when you're dating Linda Hamilton? Because I've dated some Linda Hamiltons. I could use some Cameron help.
Make friends with their sister. That's what he would always say. This way, even if Linda's mad at you, there's a copy that still likes you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's inspired Terminator. What?
That's backup. I don't want any backup. I just want to know how you deal with that level.
Well, then you can at least pretend that one still likes you. You know, you know.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
The passing of her sister was sad, by the way.
I don't know anything about that. So
she passed last year. It was
okay.
Really tragic.
Aria wants to know why I can't post the image. The first reason is that I don't know if I could be messing a source up. If it might be the one breadcrumb that they need to identify a source. The second thing is some motherfuckers who made this first fake image here can't do it better. That's my other reason. Is I keep a lot of that stuff close to the chest so that way I can hold it against this kind of stuff when it leaks and go, doesn't track. And
so I'll still give them the benefit that it's real. I'll say in the 50-50 at this point. You know?
I'm going to put it, I'm always of the camp of if a source has stuff, it's fake until you prove to me it's real. And right now I'm having to do too much work to make this image real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like, it's a lot of work right now. And
I'm having to
that,
go.
That pic from Kenobi's pretty damning, bro.
I think I nailed it when I got this one on the left. And the one thing that if you want to try to find if something's fake, I mean, number one, I'm going to teach somebody how to fake a little bit better. Maybe go in and get the screenshot yourself from Disney Plus, and then use a random frame that you got, as opposed to going into Google and just grabbing one from Google, because I figured if it was a fake, it would be lazy and they would go on Google. And so I went and typed in Bell Organa, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And this was like one of the first images I found. And it's him when he's holding the cup with Bria. You can see Bria's little shoulder in the corner here.
And they're best getting 4K rips too, so they can get some of that fake cleanness that's going on in a lot of shows too, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, but they probably went and took that. I mean, for all I know, they actually did go fake the whole actual image and then take a picture of their own monitor. You know, that's how I would have done it probably too.
Yeah, that's how most do it. That's how UFOs do it now and stuff. Oh, look, it's on the thing. Look, we watch Andor. That shit pops up in one of the first 3 episodes, and hey, you know what I mean? Then
no,
got that one fucking wrong. I mean, I don't really care.
This isn't a source I could like usually I would interview this person and find the parameters of their comfort, and you know, I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable or to say anything that they don't want to. But I would say, this is good, but I need, give me the frame after. I would say, there was things I would do in the interview process to figure out if it was worth, presenting to the community. You know what I mean, though. But
tickle.
But people, but I didn't do that. This image just is out in the wild. It was sent to me a couple of times. Baymax, sent it to me in the middle of the night. So anyways, point being, and then
because I quickly when we got the Yaddle stuff and you were like, hey man, and trust me, this it's 100% real. I'm like, well, I trust you. You know what I mean? If you've seen stuff that then that's it. So
like for instance, it wouldn't be if I really wanted to do a good fake, I could take him from one of the scenes in Kenobi and I could composite him in the Senate. And then I can film that on a monitor, and then I can make it look like it was Jimmy Smith's like reacting in a scene, and it would be convincing video. When you have Yaddle, the 3D wireframe model of Yaddle from the Clone Wars lit in a scene, like it's just like that level of fakery has never happened before. Like it would have to be somebody.
It will soon though. We're so close.
Sure.
I think, from
eventually it's possible. Yeah. Eventually it's totally possible. I mean, My kid goes on to VR chat, and then the avatars that they're making in there are getting really good. Like they're getting not very far off.
Oh, that's nice.
Kind of.
Proud of him.
Kind of. He likes VR chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Baymax sent it to me as well, and so like the image got around. Like I said, what if their phone camera is shit? Is the camera so shit that it takes pictures from Obi-Wan Kenobi and puts it onto like I said, Arya, I'm convinced that that is the same picture. And I was pretty sure when I found it that was the case. There was a couple of moments where I thought maybe it's real, based, like I said, based off of the shawl, based off of the fact that if this is
Kirsten
real,
Shaw?
it would be a
She's
flash.
in on this?
Yeah, well, if it is real, it would be a flashback. It would be a flashback to the Senate from the Phantom Menace, as opposed to the Senate right here from Andor, where she's in the Imperial Senate. It would be the Republic Senate versus the Imperial Senate. That said, usually I also feel like this is my own taste maybe coming into play here, but Bail Organa dresses like a fancy fucking prince that you want to punch in the face when you see him in most of the Republic Senate era stuff before Revenge of the Sith anyways. It's not until he gets this costume that he's out on the move, having to like sort of start the first days of the Rebel Alliance, if you will, when he's like out being action Bail. So if we were to do a flashback to just some particular time early on in the series, he would likely be dressed more frilly to show a juxtaposition between the two eras. And that's not happening here, which also I think is sort of a strike against it, potentially. That just might be my preference, but I would think, look at how Chancellor Palpatine is dressed in the prequel era, and then look at how...
Pregnant.
Yeah, and then look at how Mon Mothma is dressed. So I'm just saying though, like if you were going to want, I think you would, and you're changing the Senate pods, I think you would want to show fancy Bail as opposed to Revenge of the Sith, the first day of the Empire Bail. Like I just think that it would go that way. I could be wrong though. I mean, it might just be an oversight, or they may just not have wanted to make the Senate look like that, but. So I feel like I'm in the camp that it's not real.
Yeah, that's a pretty high contrast though. I mean, look at that, could just be the phone and the workplace is in and all that stuff. So
Okay, here. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, I want everybody just to look at it right now. Clear your mind. Say Dello Feligates. Does it feel right? It doesn't, does it? It's fake.
What, the quote or the image?
No, when you look at it, if it was real and you said Dello Feligates,
yeah,
it would feel right. You'd be like, yeah, that's the Senate I know. That's the Senate I'm all about. So, Arya says, what if the team used a still image because it looks good, the final cut, and is cheaper, and you can move the camera and have him stand there because it looks like that normally? Yeah, no. Maybe Lucasfilm is using old footage to save money. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm just, yeah, like I said, but if you guys think it's real, I mean, if it ends up being real, that will be amazing. I think it would be amazing if it was real based off of the image.
Yeah, we like Jimmy. I liked him in.
Oh, I want him to be in it. I want him to be in it.
You didn't hear me complain about him in Kenobi.
No. I mean, my only problem with him in Kenobi, which I think you can justify by the fact that his daughter was kidnapped and he lost his mind or something. But boy, did he make some stupid fucking mistakes in that story. Stupid.
So stupid.
Yeah. But
he picked the red snapper. Didn't go so well.
EJ says, I think being on a film set can change what's standard with regards to lighting, maybe. Yeah, well, I would say, like, when it comes, the lighting thing is just always such an inconclusive thing. Like I said, usually the lights, and like I've seen scenes where there are like shadows on that pass by people's shoulders and stuff, or just like glare that's completely fake that wasn't there because they thought it looked more real by doing it. Stuff on, like,
yeah, you have to create
7.
the perception of human acceptability, not
yeah,
recreating reality. What I'll say about volume shots, though, is that they tend to, the whole point of the volume, even if you completely replace the background, and they got into this in the making of the Batman over on Hugo's desk, was, and that was straight from Weta, was that even if you replace the background digitally, like recomp the background. The whole point is that the lighting does diffuse in a natural way onto the actors, so they don't have to recreate any of those colors in the shadows, all the stuff that you don't get. Like Attack of the Clones looks fucking weird as shit to me, because they had to create, when they created the lighting, they had to do it all digitally when in any reflective surface. You have to then tint the image, and it doesn't work. So you got these things that aren't really reflecting light in the way that it would if that background were orange or red or pink. It's reflecting nothing. It's reflecting the blue void that they then tint, later, and it just doesn't feel right. You could say it doesn't bother you, but I'm just telling you, it's the reason why it feels so fuck off. They've gotten better at it, but to this day, like, how do I say this? Like, they have to do a lot of work in cars when they're doing blue screen stuff, even on like Black Widow when they're doing blue screen. All the stuff for her and her sister are like in a Jeep, right? In a blue screen. But they have to then add, there's a whole group of people that have to add reflections passes into the Jeep windows that are also tracking against the background, the CGI backgrounds in Budapest. They reverse. Like, this is really complicated for some little shit. People think it's just get it done in a day. Like, no, it's you to recreate it. It requires several, 70, not really, like a dozen passes.
Yeah.
So I just look at that and I'm like, it just looks like that image, and his hair is still parted there appropriately. The part is flipped. So at the very least, that's a flipped image.
Oh, no, it's a flipped image 100%. And I'm showing on the very left here from Kenobi that his hair part is on our right. And then when I flip the image in the small one, I had to make it on our left, and the fake image is on our left because it's the same thing. They thought when I flip the image, it's gonna fool people.
Right.
That's why they did it. But in reality, it actually just made me realize immediately his part's not on the right side, on the correct side.
Yeah, that's the first thing I looked at. Like, look, his part's on now he's got the Hitler part.
Yeah, it looks
like it doesn't look right. Like, there's a reason why you got to be very careful when you give guys small mustaches and parts. Because you could really end up looking like Adolf. It's not a good look.
And then Bespin Bulletin had an article a long time ago, around a month or two ago. I spoke to a source, the untitled casting Andor series. The source told me that Genevieve O'Reilly was in talks to return as Mon Mothma. Mere weeks later, THR reported her involvement. At the time, I was kind of annoyed with myself for sitting on the information. I see a trend here, Bespin Bulletin. Then last week, yeah, he does. He likes to make sure it's right, and I respect that.
No, he's just he's like that guy that's collecting everyone's Amazon packages. The whole house is filled with them. It's all info, and he's just sitting there like playing Fortnite. Like, he could post this, but he's really fucking playing Fortnite with Jason all night. So. I get it.
Yeah, and then so brings me to today's story. At the time I was told about Mon Mothma's involvement in the casting Andor series, I was told that 2 actors were in talks in the series. I want to stress that at the time I was only told these actors were in talks, but I was awaiting harder confirmation. And if you've been checking out my appearances on Ant Shot's first live streams, you might have heard me drop some hints. Those actors are Jimmy Smits and Elster Petrie, who will be reprising those roles as Bell Organa and Draven. So I hope Draven's in
Eric Draven's back.
No, Draven. No, Draven's the guy who sends Cassian on his missions in the movie, like
that's right,
his buddy. I like Draven. It also feels like a no-brainer to see Organa and Draven making an appearance in the series, but it's something that excites me. With the involvement of writer Bo Williman, a writer behind House of Cards. So Cassian was set to be filming in June, blah 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 blah. So anyways, but I think that was like the only like real credible stuff we ever had from anybody on Bell actually being in the series. And back in the day, I put out the feelers to try to figure out, is Bell Organa in the show, and I ended up getting Bell in Kenobi and not in Andor. So I don't know what to make of it. Also, one thing I would add too is that if they wanted Bell Organa in that show, they would not have had him fly over to the UK and film at Pinewood in the Senate pod and all that kind of shit. They literally could have just done it in the volume and then used it in the show without, that would be a much cheaper way.
He has his own volume.
He has his own volume in his garage.
Yeah.
But
he spent that action figure money on it.
But I mean, like, when you really get down to it, like, it would cost, they'd have to pay Jimmy Smith's fee. They'd have to house him in the UK. They would have to, you know what I mean? Like
no, he
fly
could just
him
stay
over.
at Ewan's place, like Frank Oz does. Like,
no, but they could just literally do it while he was here. There were also rumors, in like production magazines. I shouldn't say they were even rumors, saying that Andor was going to have work here as well, and that never ended up coming to fruition in any way. But I was always like, I wonder if it's because they're filming Bell stuff here, therefore it's filmed in two places. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I don't think so. So, but somebody who's seen it will likely not come out, but confirm to us.
We understand
that Bell Organa wasn't the first 4 episodes or not. And I got to be honest with you guys, while anything is possible, who knows what narrative conceit the show will take. Most likely, though, if you're going to do flashbacks back to the early parts of the Senate, it would be in the first 4 episodes. Most likely. Just not conclusively, but most likely. If you were going to go back and say, here's what the Senate used to be.
Jason.
Well, if you were
indubitably.
If you were trying to say what the Senate used to be and what it is now, you would probably do that early on. So
ever since the Squad showed up, Jason, it's all gone downhill.
It's true. It's true.
The road was progressive. We complain about.
What I'm trying to tell you guys here is that it clearly AOC is Jimmy Smith's. Jimmy Smith's is putting on a dress and AOC it's fake. And I'm here to confirm that today. Sorry. Buy my supplements.
I like how he was coughing all fucking day in court, and someone should have been like, "Hey, you want to take some of that Mega Male Plus bullshit you're selling? Get rid of that fucking cough." You colossal piece
Sorry,
it's
making my dick so big. My balls are up in my lungs. It's making me
Roger
cough.
Stone doesn't shave like he used to, so it's got a bag of alfalfa down my throat. Yeah.
How come you never give us Game of Thrones leaks? Where's the making Game of Thrones? I know, right? That'd be fun. I would be so confused.
Wait.
I'd be like out of my element. They'd be like, here's a big leak. Stellan Skarsgård is in this house, and I'd be like, Stellan's in a house? What house is that? Is his own house?
You would have had to do the whole Matt Smith is in a movie, in a series again thing.
Oh, no.
Because he's in the new one, right? Like, that's... You're like, I'm trapped again with Matt Smith.
What do you mean? You mean on Andor? Or, I mean, the thing, Arya, is that, like, every production, that's, I got my peoples around. But every production, you start back over at square one. Doesn't mean people, and the other thing is,
because he doesn't like the show, guys. That's why he didn't bother.
Yeah.
He was like, fuck that show.
No, it also, right, though, too. No, but like, let's pretend Arya comes here and she gives me everything from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Well, if I was to go and then use her as a source on the very next thing, as heavy as I did on the last thing, you would start to be able to make the process of elimination. Who is who might be talking to me? And so
Sherlock Kennedy would be doing the math, right? Like that is, now I know.
Yeah. Well, that's my tip to anybody who becomes a leaker in the future, or who, I hate the term leaker. It sounds so fucking stupid,
Hey, my name's Rob. Like,
okay, robbers.
You got robbed.
In the future.
You got robbed.
You don't. You don't keep. If you keep fishing the same hole, then you're gonna run out of fish there. You're gonna exhaust it, and you're gonna make it dangerous and stuff like that. So you have to diversify your sources, and you got to decide, when is it okay and when's it not, when's the right time. And because I would feel terrible if one of my sources ever got caught, and so I don't want that to happen. I don't want to feel
You
terrible.
can't put all your scoop currency in leak coin, right, Jason? You gotta diversify.
Gotta diversify. By the way, you'll be happy to know I watched. I'm about 1.5 seasons into Better Call Saul right now.
Ooh, snap!
Yeah. First season was pretty good. I saw people were pretty hard on it, but I thought it was pretty good. And I actually feel like the second season is a bit laggy. It's a bit plotting at times compared to the first season. It doesn't feel like it's it feels like it takes a lot longer to get to the big points, and then once you get there, you stay in them longer. But I heard that, like, I did look up like rankings of the seasons to see what people say, and people generally put season 1 and 2 as the 2 worst. So I'm enjoying.
People are
it.
fucking nuts.
I'm enjoying.
You know what it is? Season 3 is when the Breaking Bad stuff sort of like starts to link up. And that's what people want. And I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, and I don't care about that.
When you're at the very end of this fucking story, you're like, I long for the days of season 1 and 2. It's just tragic, bro.
Yeah.
I told you, this isn't tragic like Scarface. You're gonna be like, I can't wait to see how that ends again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, as much as I'm liking it a lot, by the way. Like I'm not critical of it all. But I don't think Breaking Bad, or I should say Better Call Saul, I don't think it does a lot that Star Wars can actually use. As I'm watching it, I was looking at it like from a lens of what could Star Wars be gleaning from this? And I was like, I was just thinking about like the kind of character moments that the show has, like, when his semi-girlfriend gives him the cup that says world's second best lawyer, and he puts it in his old car and it fits. He gets his new fancy car and he tries to put it in the cup holder and it doesn't fit. It's a very telling kind of piece of metaphor right there. And I was trying to like translate a lot of the character moments into, you change it to a starship and whatever, kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I like that they try to hire people from this show and these shows onto Star Wars, but it just seems like it's such a different flavor.
Well, you can never do a 1-to-1, and Saul is not a 1-to-1 to even Breaking Bad. Like, even tonally, they're completely
I like
different.
him better. I actually like I like Saul better than Walt. And I watched Breaking Bad as it came out. Like I was already like watching AMC shows, so like I was like, I just watched it. I didn't even know what it was, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I stuck through the whole thing. And then I had to go and I watched I did like a recap. I watched like a recap show of the whole series, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting confused about things. And I would like a whole recap show and watched it. And I was like, when you watch the recap, you kind of see it kind of recycles things a bit on Breaking Bad. But but as like a hero, Jimmy's a lot more interesting.
The thing they can learn though, Jason, is not to just hire people that worked on it and do the sole bad thing with Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's that if you listen to the Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad Insider podcast with Vince, and he's on like almost every episode, and Peter Gould's on the ones that he's not, or co with, and they bring in the directors. When you hear how the series is created, Vince, he got his real break on X-Files, and I think he saw, this is my own thing. I think he saw what happens when you try to lead a series down an expected pathway, and like all these expectations and stuff. So like they create that series as they go along. They write whatever they need to into the corner. Like they have no idea how they're going to get out. And then they go and do the work. They don't take the cheap way or the obvious way out. You know what I mean? And so like, when I say cheap or obvious way, I mean, they go, oh, well, how is the person getting out of this room? And everyone goes, they'll get out the room this way because it seems obvious. Then they go, yeah, we put that on the wall. Now let's go 4 more ideas. And then they're looking, in the decision making. Whoever makes the decisions on which one to use, they got a really great eye or ear for what to keep and what not to keep. And Vince was saying 2 episodes ago, it was about this. And he said that, the problem with coming up with an ending to something and then working towards it is people all around you have really good ideas, and you tend to just tune those out when you're trying to gun for an ending. So the idea that Star Wars needs to be figured out before you make it, right? As if it ever was, or even if the Marvel isn't even all figured out before they make it. They have a goal. Like a good goal would be in the case of Star Wars would have been Favreau saying, "Hey, I want to tell a story about like our own version of Boba Fett. We got the Mando, we got the Lone Wolf and Cub story, and we're gonna take the story. And when we hit to the point where we're ready to really climax the thing on Mandalore, we're gonna go to the movies with that one. So we're gonna set it all up here, and if it needs 3 seasons, 4 seasons, whatever to get there, we'll get there. But what we really want to do is get everyone on the journey with these characters. You know what I mean? And like that is, but you don't go."
Yeah.
And I wrote out the ending, and we're all working to that fucking thing, because you're gonna, anytime you work on anything creative, you know, a week in, a month in, a year in, you're gonna have an even better idea than you had before you started. It's just rare anyone ever figures out. Fucking George R.R. Martin doesn't have Game of Thrones. He's literally pantsed those whole. They call that pantsing. I don't know if you're aware of the term. Make it up by the seat of your pants. Yeah. He's made those up by the seat of his pants. It's why he kept adding new fucking characters, and you could tell the book slowed down the more characters he adds, because he's like, how do I make all these work? And he don't know. He's sitting there trying to figure out how to make it all work right now. And clearly the TV show is like, we'll go this way, and that didn't please people. So I just think like how they're made behind the scenes and the decision making on the storytelling is more important. I think the thing to learn from, and I think Ryan brought that to The Last Jedi, because when you look at the end of that film, I'm like, it's complete, right? And if it stops here, you don't need any more than this. It told a complete story. And that's crazy to me, because like, I mean, even Return of the Jedi, I guess Return of the Jedi is the closest thing to a complete story, but it didn't feel that complete. You know what I mean? Like there's still like,
it's disjointed.
What's Luke going to do next? You know, kind of thing, you know?
Well, it's like if Return of the Jedi didn't have to really put the ending to Empire in the beginning of it, Return of the Jedi would have been a better movie. Like that's the weird thing about it.
The original Star Wars actually feels the most complete out of the 3 of them, and like it could end there, and that is all you could ever see of it. And hey, man, that wasn't a fantastic story. I think JJ is really great at setting up a pilot, horrible at finishing a show, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think Ryan knows how to finish his episode, whether it's one chapter or the totality of a movie. And that's why I said, like, whether you're a fan of that movie or not, and again, I'm 50-50 on it, he's a cat to fucking like follow. That's the mentality to follow for these things, because it does produce. Who was going to predict? Name one person who was like, I know in the next movie, Kylo's going to kill Snoke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody, dude. Like, nobody saw that coming.
No, that was, and a lot of times, the people that want to hate on Ryan will go like, he didn't give JJ anything to do. Well, to that, I have to say, if you cannot play in the episodic style, you don't belong there.
That's what Vince and them do. They don't give themselves anything. Exactly. What I'm trying to say is Vince, they don't give themselves anything left to do. Like when you get, I'm trying to go back the first season, but like, okay, how about this? Like in the first season and the second season, right? Like you meet Nacho, you know, or Ignacio. And in the very first time Saul Goodman's out in the desert in Breaking Bad, he yells, "It wasn't me, it was Lalo and Ignacio. You know, it wasn't Ignacio, it wasn't me." Like, they didn't have a character named Ignacio. They didn't have any idea. It's just a throwaway line. Peter Gould, the producer, when they were doing the series, like, we got to pay that idea off. And Vince was the guy who was like, "No, man, just a little thing. Who cares?" And Peter goes, "No, people care." So what I'm trying to say, and people have cared. And bro, that fucking character's amazing. And both those two characters are fantastic additions to this story. So like having the crew that's able to like, you know, bounce things off to one another, and they're able to is the thing. And I'm just, what I want Star Wars to do is to have a crew. You don't want one person who comes in and out, right? Coming and going. You want a trilogy of movies to kind of have like that crew bouncing off. Even if they're not going to be directing it, they are behind the scenes bouncing off. So you don't just get a guy who's like, because sometimes as an artist, I'm like, this shit don't fucking matter. And my buddy, I have some normal friends who will tell me, Rob, this is what we look forward to. This is, as a fan of this thing, we really care. And I'm like, you really give a shit about that? They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put it in. And there's like a little thing I did on this Power Rangers fucking thing. I fucking can't stand Power Rangers, right? My buddy told me to put this fucking robot, his little head at the end of the sword, like a, what do you call it? Like a little doodad hanging off, like, a keychain. And I was like, all right, I'll put that on there, whatever. I thought it was stupid. Fucking all the fans love it. So they have a crew. Like, so I just think sometimes when you have people who are more focused on getting shit done, they're not able to look outside of it as an experience for the viewer, right?
Yeah.
And I think Vince and that crew do have an excellent ability to do that. Yeah.
No, they do. The only thing, like, and this is just me, by the way, but, the only thing that really gets me about the show is, I'm not a big fan of abrasive noise unless it's in music. And like, they'll be like, oh, here's a coffee pot, and it's like turned up to fucking 10 in my ear. And then you hear, and I'm like, no, shut the fuck. I just want them to stop. I want them to stop. They do chill out on it though. In the first episodes, I was like really, really annoyed with it. I was
yeah,
like,
they were trying to find ways to get in his brother's head though too with his.
Yeah, well, like Shaun of the Dead, when it does like the coffee making kind of thing, boom, 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 and like every step of the morning.
That's a personal thing.
I
That's
hate
not
that. I hate
to the
that.
negative of the show. Like
It
that's
is.
just
It
your
is.
personal.
No. There's a point when it's working, and there's a point when the style overtakes the point, is what I think. And I'm like, I'm okay with like getting on with it. But I'm not okay with when I am like, now I'm just watching your style. I'm watching you on the fucking catwalk of film. That gets boring to me. They cut it the fuck out though. So I'm okay with that.
And
Robert's
that's entirely at the discretion of whoever directed that episode.
Yeah, the editor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The editor and that, yeah. Robert Sinclair says, Last Jedi also told an isolated story on top of being complete. One, that was my issue with it. The film ended, and I thought, was the movie even a sequel to The Force Awakens? Well, I mean, it really runs right into it and keeps going. And then where it ends literally with Kylo's the now he's the Supreme Chancellor, or the Supreme Leader, excuse me. He's Supreme Leader. And what's it going to be? Well, I don't know. Maybe J.J. Abrams could have went and said, oh, he formed up the Empire, and then he said he's going to bring back the Republic, but in name only, and it was a big trick and made the good guys look bad. There's all kinds of things that if they could have just done to make what's this next story going to be? And J.J. Abrams just didn't have it. He's just not cut out for it. At the end of the day, he's let's just look at J.J. Abrams' the totality of the work that he's done. He's a big kind of so what guy in the big picture. I hate to say it, but and when he was put onto The Force Awakens, we didn't know. When he was put on The Force Awakens, there was a lot of riding the coattails of Lost, and a lot of this guy could dream. And can he though? I think that's kind of the big question I have.
I'm not a fan of where they took Finn in The Last Jedi. That all being said,
yeah,
folks, like as you can't look at one little thing you didn't like or another little thing and say, because I didn't like these couple things, the whole thing is trash.
Yeah.
The whole thing, does it work as a whole? Yeah, it works as a whole, but it doesn't feel like this or that. Well, it worked as a whole, and it was where they were headed and what they learned. I think something that Rian, and I got to guess on this, watching the making of The Last Jedi, they were saying, him and Bam were saying that the most money and time was spent on Canto Bight, trying to get all those puppets filled. And you look at it and you're like, just wasn't worth that. Like that thing that you really pushed to get everything into.
Wait, who said that?
Bam was saying that the amount of money they spent on like all the producer.
Wait, you mean Ram? Ram Bergman?
Ram Bergman was saying, hey man, I told you I get names and letters.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to make sure we're.
When Ram was saying that
because if it was Bam Margera, he might have just been like, taking his shit on the table or something.
And so it was just really expensive to put it together. The amount of puppets, the time, just setting up the casino. Yeah. And you look at all that's there for that. The reward was the average fan base could care less. It wasn't what they were the most interested in, Mm-hmm. So I just think like that's one of those things where you just build up from like, all right, maybe on the next one I don't put that effort into like a cantina like sequence. You know what I mean? Maybe that isn't. It was fun for them. It has some great homages, but overall wasn't the strongest thing. I just think about that sort of stuff, and I do think that had Ryan,
You gotta say his last name was just Johansson.
look, if Ryan got a whole episode 9, without a doubt, it's a better fucking film than the one we got. I mean, even if they had made it in the time crunch.
Every movie that Ryan Johnson has ever made is better than any movie that J.J. Abrams has ever made.
Because I love every film he ever made, and The Last Jedi is the only one that's questionable. I'm like, well, he picked up from something. What if he got something from nothing? Because look, man, if Knives Out comes out right after The Last Jedi and it blows, then I'm like, all right, dude's on a downward trend. Not the case. Not even remotely the case. And I haven't seen Glass Onion, but the guy who names a fucking movie Glass Onion wins my fucking wins my hey man, who's gonna think of that? You don't go into the internet and type in title generator and it kicks out Glass Onion, you know?
Well,
you start to think about mysteries and I hear you, but it's not well, so's I farted. Choice. You know, they didn't put it on a record, but you could smell it. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
A fault. So
yeah. But when it comes to like that whole thing, like Michael says, I always got the impression that JJ never really wanted to do it, but caved. On the first one, I heard he was afraid to do it. He was like, "Oh shit, who wants that?" And then on the last one, he wanted to do it. The last one, it was a last minute kind of deal, and he wanted to like do it. I don't really understand why. I think it was such a bad move on his part. Like, he got in, he copied A New Hope in a way that people wanted. He gave him the member berry kind of film, and I think he did a good job with it. And then so I don't know why he decided to get in there and try to prove he was original, and because he didn't. And boy.
Let me be fair. Let me be fair and talk about some criticism I have of The Force Awakens. You know, like, first off, that scene between, and let's talk about Finn. I love that character, but the Finn at the end of the movie, who Harrison Ford tells him to tone it down a bit. That I don't like. That is not a good take. And I get the joke, and you're making it work, whatever. But like, that ain't the same character to me in the whole movie. That's like that's an actor doing a bit. And I'm like, that is as hammy as anything, as Hamill in the 9th movie doing that shit-eating grin. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? Are we making each other laugh on set, or are we with the story? And to bring up Macquarie, you know, and he would say, Cruz would say this a lot too when they're working on anything, and it's where is the audience tracking with this? Like, where are we, or where's the character? Where am I? I don't feel like I'm with the character now. And when Finn's doing that stuff, I don't feel like we're with that character. We're with the actor doing something. And you could say, I liked it. That's not irrelevant. That's like a character they got to sneak in, and then he's doing this thing, and then it goes right into the Phasma bit, and it's just so cartoonish. It's as prequely, as cartoony a thing as ever. And I'm like, you could say that's fun, but there's no way the commander of an Imperial whatever is giving up the fucking plans to a Death Star-like center because they threatened to put her in a trash compactor. They can take her code key, and BB-8 can hack in there or make friends with the computer, and then they can dump her in for fun because they don't want to kill her. Fine. But it's bullshit. Like, and that, I'm like, that just like, whatever, man. Like, that's that childish shit that I'm like, I don't know, man. It's not endearing childish, like when you get a fun little Muppet, you know what I mean? It like winks at the camera and you're like, oh, that's cute. So that's a big thing. And the other big thing to me, and you talked about this before in terms of why this happened, but when they blow up Maz's castle, like, that shit gets turned to apple core in like 30 seconds. Like that could have been a whole sequence, a battle in an area, a bunch of smugglers against the First Order, kind of like.
Well, that's what it was. It was supposed to be the guys from the raid. Conja Club shows up with Captain Phasma,
right?
And that's why there was like photo shoots with Captain Phasma in the smoldering ruins of the castle. And I do question if she was gonna die in that sequence originally, because one of the reasons I think that you end up with that scene with the trash compactor is that Finn needs resolution within that film about their place, even if it's going to be a rematch in the next film. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to kind of
Yeah, the
capstone
traitor
it.
moment is cool when they're like
Yeah.
traitor, but like that place gets turned out, and all those
I think
creatures and
I think
aliens
that was
fucking
Phasma.
they all disappear. Like
Yeah.
they all go like where they all blow it up, and it's just so fucking.
Well,
Like,
when the schedule ends up changing, and then
right,
you just kind of end up with like it getting like completely revised. Yeah, you do see some of them run away. You do see some of the aliens like going like, let's get the fuck out, but it's pretty minimal. You're not wrong there. But also they were never going to take every character from that place. Most of them couldn't even actually move, so kind of end up in a
but
weird
ships or something, or I don't know, something.
Yeah. I mean, the movie was super hard to figure out because I'm like, they're looking outside from Maz's castle that the Death Star thing is blowing up stuff other places. I'm like, how does that work?
And then the Hosnian Prime confusion over what planet is like. It's just like whatever. For lore people, I'm like, well, if you just came off of 3 films that show you Coruscant's the center of the galaxy, and then they blow up what appears to be the center of the galaxy, and I'm an idiot because I didn't read a book that said that's not really the thing. Like, what are you expecting the average person to think?
So Michael asks, was it ever explained how Maz got Luke's saber? Well, there's like a couple of things to it. The original, the J.J. Abrams explanation that's not canon or official was the Knights of Ren and Kylo are attacking the Jedi Temple, and we had that shot in the rain. There was going to be a shot where Maz Kanata, I actually had the photo. I don't have it anymore. I wish I still had it. But he has 2. When you see Kylo in the rain, I think they digitized out the one lightsaber. But he originally had 2 lightsabers in his hands. And he had his, and he had Luke Skywalker's. And he's like walks up into that flashback moment. Maz Kanata was going to sort of pop out of somewhere, I don't know where, and run and grab it. And she grabbed it, and she was going to escape with it. And I don't really know if the idea was that they were attacking the temple, and then she was like, but I think the idea was that she saved Rey. I think that might have been the original idea. I don't know that for certain, but she did take the saber. I had it in one of my shooting schedules. I had a couple of shooting schedules, and on that one particular one, it was really very obvious the way it was worded that Maz Kanata took the saber from him, and he lost it. And then later on, when he sees it, the other one, he's like, "Oh, that belongs to me." That was kind of like, that's why he says that originally.
See, directors not being able, like, ending up with situations where they can't figure key shit like that out while they're filming, or even post filming. It's not like, oh, we didn't have a script. To me, it reeks of someone who just can't make a fucking decision. And like, as a director, like, your fucking job is to make the decisions. That's it. Yeah. Make the decisions. And I just feel like JJ is always wishy-washy. Like, he just doesn't want to. That's the impression I get. Like, he just can't settle on shit for whatever reason.
If you watch those movies today and really watch them with like sort of fresh eyes, and say to yourself, the mystery of Rey's backstory doesn't matter, boy, are they much better films. And it's that's the actual big flaw in them, is that he decided to make Rey's backstory a mystery and wanted to add this intrigue, and was like, well, somebody else will have to answer it, not me. And haha, I get out. And so hopefully they can. And at the end of the day, though, like, there wasn't a backstory for Rey that really mattered. No, but when you watch, and that's can you imagine watching A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi, and being like, there's a whole mystery about where Luke comes from.
Yeah.
And you get rid of that, and it's fine. The movie's fine without it. That's what kind of sucks.
Doesn't matter where he's from.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't.
I totally agree. Also, I'd like to say, I think Rian, he makes glass onions, and JJ makes glass funyuns, Jason.
Yeah, right. Right. That's
funyuns.
You're terrible, man. You're,
Yeah. Well, I am a diabetic, so I'm gonna go eat a Funyun. Peace out.
good luck. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of like I said, I kind of think that like that whole mystery boxing thing where he's like, oh, let's put this intrigue there. That's actually like the big flaw of the whole thing, because the characters are actually like good. Like the actors are very likable.
Yeah.
Performances are well,
Yeah.
and you're on the journey with them. And
100%.
yeah, and then it's weird because
that mystery boxing to me, Jason,
yeah,
is a cop out for not wanting to make a decision.
yeah, for sure.
You know, like it starts out with, well, we'll start with like a rabbit's foot. Hey, we don't really want to like tell you what the bad thing is because we can't really think of like a whatever. It's right after 9/11. What's the worst thing we could think of that doesn't feature brown skin, right? Like, who knows? So it's a rabbit's foot. Makes sense. Okay. But then that turns into, let's mystery box a giant alien that's going to be the centerpiece of a fucking movie. We're never going to really see it until the very end. And when we do, it looks like a misshapen ice cream cone. And then let's mystery box what the hell happens at the front end of Star Trek, to the point where, like, it really makes no sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
But they're all enjoyable films. You run with it. And I think it hits its zenith in the same way that Nolan and them were playing with, like, jumping around time with editing in, like, The Dark Knight, right? Like, they play with time jumping in Inception and The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to The Dark Knight Rises, where it's like, oh, we'll just use clever editing to show that somehow Bruce Wayne got halfway fucking across the world past the military that are currently occupying in whatever island, you know what I mean? Like all, and you just got to go on these like there are limits to this using editing to show lapses in time. And I think with JJ, that mystery box, it's run its cup at full.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like, to bring it back to Breaking Bad. You end up with the pizza on the roof. You're like, why is it up there? How does it happen? But it's not really like how it happened isn't going to make or break the show. You're just like, what is that about? Like, how did that, you know what I mean, kind of thing or whatever. And but it made it where like it was the biggest thing. It was like a promise.
But the promise, the premise of the promise for Better Call Saul is, how did Saul go from Jimmy McGill to Saul Goodman?
Yeah.
And this series has nailed it beyond expectations, in my opinion. By the end of it, you're like, well, like all this shit is not only 1,000% believable, you know, like it's fucking tragic to look at Saul Goodman. I'm not laughing at those scenes. I mean, you know, like you're like, it's just tragic.
And just to be devil's advocate here, to say one thing over the other, like, you have tons of sociological research on how to build that character. If you just, you know, by doing solid character work, but also by just studying how general corruption works and stuff. So it's like that's where I think that show does such a good job. Like, it's really aware of how structures make criminals. You know, that was
right, but it makes you feel it, and it could just tell you things and show you, look, there's a criminal doing criminal shit. It could do that, but what you do is you feel it.
Well, it's like the difference between The Wire and Breaking Bad, or The Wire and Better Call Saul, is both kind of do the same thing, right?
Right.
They like, The Wire has like a sociologist and a writer, and they come together and then they create The Wire. It's a great show. But then this one right here kind of takes that sociological knowledge of how corruption works, and then but makes it into character moments. And obviously one's way more palatable to like general audiences over the other.
Real personable, less tectonic, more on the shore at the beach, you know, with the family while your dad hits mom or something.
And then Star Wars, only thing Star Wars has to look back on is superheroes. You know, what happens when you get godlike powers, you know what I mean?
Lust.
And then but anyways, to answer Michael's question, they kind of answered it a little bit. There was also a plaque at Disneyland for Luke's lightsaber around the time of The Force Awakens, and it said that miners were flying a ship on Bespin and like found it in some junk or something. Like, it fell into some like a junk heap, I think. It's somewhere on my site. I mean, but the idea is that from from there it moved around. There was also another version of the backstory where rich people are buying the lightsaber. It ends up in the hands of a guy named Code Word Fat Cat. If you look up Fat Cat on my site, you'll probably find that stuff there. And but basically Maz Kanata, I think like the last iteration that Abrams probably did was that Maz just bought it and she has a bunch of collectibles or artifacts and stuff like that in her castle. So that's but at the end of the day, no, nobody really knows. I don't think it might have been in a comic book I missed or something, but as far as I know, I don't think so. I haven't seen Prey yet, Luz. I'm gonna watch Prey probably tonight. I got my Hulu subscription on and all that, but I ended up watching the Sex Pistols show instead because I was more excited for that. But I'm gonna watch Prey now that I finished the Sex Pistols show. Have you seen it yet?
No. I've been watching.
Yeah, I watched like the first 10 minutes of it. It seemed pretty good though. And then Michael
I'm
asked,
interested in that solo actor.
Oh yeah. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Michael E. Tennant said, so based on what you know of what Trevorrow was going to do you think it would have been better than Rise of Skywalker? I doubt it would be better. I think it would just be trading. Like Rey's story is in some ways worse, but Finn's story's better. Post, you know what I mean? It's I really, you know.
Did you enjoy Jurassic Park?
No. No,
Just saying, folks, you know, like
yeah. I don't think he was. I don't think he's at the Star Wars episode level. You know, personally, don't think so, and I don't think his script was actually that good. It actually reads like fan fiction to me. And like I said, I read the first and the second draft, and the second draft didn't get better. So I don't really think if they had done a third, it would have got even better. You know, that's where I'm at with it. So yeah, he did some things better than Abrams. Like Finn's story is generally better. And what's kind of frustrating about it is that they have credit on the film when you look at the credits of it, so you know that Abrams read it, and how to make Finn's story better was all there. Didn't use it though. Ducky says the mystery box does its job though. It took episode 4 clone and made everyone theorize and want to see what happens next. Yeah, oh yeah, no, it worked, but it's like, you know, eventually you have to deliver. And and I thought Ryan, like he knew there wasn't a right answer, and so he came at it from a perspective of, yeah, but so you're all thinking that she's like the princess of the galaxy. What if she's just no one? And then that's like, whoa, man. But then JJ's like, no, I want her to be princess of the galaxy. And so we go back on it. And so you know, if it had worked, if her being Palpatine's granddaughter, it would have been people would have been comparing it to the I am your father moment, even if it was even half as good. It would have been getting those accolades, and it just didn't connect in the same way, unfortunately. And it wasn't like that surprising. I don't know. It just didn't really work for me. It just didn't really connect, and I don't think it really did in a big way overall for most people. Is my read on it, because I don't ever hear people talking about like, man, when I found out Rey was the granddaughter, and then even then it suffers from the thing that Rob was talking about of not being able to make a choice, because it turns out she's not really the granddaughter. She's the
it can't even commit to that idea, man. It's some hyperbolic fucking nonsense. You know, I was really listening to I'm gonna bring Macquarie up again because fucking why not? It's just Macquarie all day. I was listening to an interview he did during COVID, like right when it first started with the I want to say LA Times or something. There's an hour-long interview they did with him.
Okay.
At the time, and which is fascinating because, you know, to hear that mentality, like what the hell is going to happen with the world kind of shit. But he was talking about how, like, you know, they don't conjure. He's like, when he writes the Mission Impossible stuff, he's like, there's no script. He's like, I don't even write what it's about. Literally just start with locations and we build from like where can we place people, and then how did they get there, what are they there for, and they work around the location building, and I wonder if Star Wars wouldn't benefit with that a little bit more, being that it's very planet and travel based. It's rarely one. We're rarely ever in one spot for very long, unless it's a Boba Fett show. So,
one thing I keep wanting to like say to you though is that there's a pretty good fucking chance that Christopher McQuarrie was on this Lucasfilm story group the whole time. Like he was a writer on. Jr.? He was a writer on Rogue One. Even Ralph
McQuarrie.
No, Christopher McQuarrie.
Your boy, Ralph McQuarrie. I was like,
no,
him and JFK Jr. come back from the dead. Yeah. He definitely worked on Rogue One. He won't talk about it.
no, I know. I have like documents that prove it. Like he was on set as the writer of the show with Gilroy during the reshoot time.
They asked him on the 100th episode of Light the Fuse. He was on there, and someone brought it up. And his response was he only talks about projects that he's officially credited on, regardless of whatever else that means. So that was his way around it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if he's ever works on a Star Wars thing, it's always,
But if you work backwards,
never going to be the only person.
Okay, we're going to write The Force Awakens based on location scouting. So what do we have? We have a desert planet where a giant battle took place and all these. Why are we there? Well, this girl was dropped there. Okay, well, why were parents? They were there in the war. Did they survive? And no. They dropped her there after the war. Well, why would they drop her there of all places?
Yeah.
Well, they were drug addicts. And they got real high and sold her for money. And well, then what's the? It's confusing to put her against the backdrop of all this stuff, and then for it to just turn out to be something else. So let's say you can't do it. It would have been better to put her in a less interesting place. She literally just grew up on the streets of Corellia, if that were the case. You know what I mean? Like, or somewhere less important. Putting Star Destroyers everywhere, putting the Millennium Falcons on that fucking planet for some god known reason, places a level of importance on Jakku, so she must also equally be important. And yet she isn't. Now, I get why Ryan took that place, because he's like, hey, let me do what's the thing that gets me out of all this, and places it solely on character choices and less about destiny and shit. I'm all for that. Mm-hmm. The problem is you then got to take the hard knocks from the people who are being fed and set up for, they're getting set up to go, there is a reason for all this. And by the way, Jakku didn't even matter. We're never going to see that shit. And that's why it's all confusing, Jason, right? For the average person. And that's where the disconnect comes from. So you can do all those things, but you also have to accept the consequences from fandom, the average fans, when they don't connect with that as well as they should. And then when you continue to go, and hold on, and her parents were drug addicts, and they were also clones of Palpatine, the kids of clones of Palpatine, right? And Palpatine, you're like, what? Like, it almost sounds like a little kid who got up and started to make up the book report, right? And they're just making up a story as they go.
Well, and then the problem that you end up running into is that it, like, what he told her was true from a certain point of view. So were her parents drunks? And then we get these other books and no, they weren't. So then Kylo is just straight up lying to her in that part. And it's like, and they don't address it. It's not, it should have been. Right. It really should have been like clear.
You kind of owe it to your audience to make it.
Yeah.
It's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. We're just supposed to assume. But they were talking to Amandla Stenberg about Acolyte. She says, the Lucasfilm team came to me with this project, which was fully conceptualized with me in mind. Wow. And I was astounded, Stenberg says breathlessly, conscious of the fact that she needs to remain tight-lipped about the whole thing. She's already picked up kung fu lessons as part of her preparation for the role and is plotting a move to the UK where the series will be shot. I get to read, watch, I get to read, watch, and breathe Star Wars. It's my job to get lost in it. I'm so lucky, she continues, beaming. My plans were interrupted by a very different life path, but one that I think is going to be a huge blessing.
So I'm not a fan of when they interview people and they're like, I'm just so lucky, everyone's so great.
But weren't you saying just recently that they need to start doing things with actors in mind? like
100%.
creating things, and that's
with
literally
actors in mind. Yeah.
yeah.
Unless they came up with the story, they're like, we think this person would be great for the story. So it'd be like saying, I know Marty Scorsese makes those kinds of movies. I'll write a Marty Scorsese movie, and then we'll go hire a Marty Scorsese. That I do fear. But I tend to think, like, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say they kind of like set up an idea that they thought this person could knock out the part.
Yeah.
More
I
than
mean,
that.
I didn't watch the Hungry Games, but I heard that she was a really really young kid in it, and she was really good when she was
Oh,
in
she
it.
was? I did not know that.
Yeah, I guess she has like a death scene in it, and it's like one of the most powerful moments in it. She like stole the movie, is what some people have said. I don't know if that's fucking true or
Yeah,
not.
what I meant though is I need to clarify. What I was saying was Macquarie. I tend to agree with Macquarie where he hires an actor and then writes the character.
Mm-hmm.
So if they wrote a character thinking of her, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
That's like saying I wrote a character for Tom Cruise as opposed to we hired Tom Cruise. What's the character? I don't know. But I know how he is. You know what I mean? So let's write around what that actor can do.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's a little different. This is writing for, in this other way, feels more, I don't know, like a wizard fan casting thing. Like, hey, Professor Patrick Stewart's bold. Got an X-Men script. Put him in.
Yeah.
So, but I still like her. So, whatever. Oh shit, we're at Respawn.
Yeah. So, Jedi Survivor, senior VFX artist. You could apply for the job right here. Here, I'll put the I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the chat so that way you guys can apply.
You never know what you get.
So here you go, right there. If you guys want to get the job, you can get it right there. You don't have to leak to me, but if you do, it's cool. So anyways, it says founded in 2010. Blah 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 blah. From our roots in indie gaming, Titanfall, Jedi Fallen Order, blah blah blah. You can learn more about our studio. What you'll do, you'll bring life and excitement to the game through your design implementation of compelling, realistic visual effects. Coordinate with art, design, animation to ensure VFX match the quality bar and vision for the game. Fix VFX related bugs, including performance and budget issues. Help to improve technical pipeline, artist, and ideally, and then there's all the stuff that you're supposed to have or whatever. But it sounds like it's going to have some pretty cool stuff in it. Like look what it says right here. We're picturing someone who is passionate about world building and experienced in creating high quality in-game environment dynamics, destruction, particle effects, etc. If this sounds like you, we're looking forward to seeing your resume. So it looks like it's going to looks like they are looking at making this game have a little bit more visual splendor, as they say.
Respawn's good at fidelicizing things up. I mean, especially if it's since they may have not started with it being exclusive to next gen, and now they're like double down on that. Could be anything. Could just be they just need more hands.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that might be a clue about how the game's going to look. It might not be. Who knows? But it's worth just throwing out there. If they do Kenobi Season 2, they need to give up the Andor budget. We don't know that it didn't have the Andor budget. We don't really know how these shows truly work. We don't really know if filming in the volume in Los Angeles, if that's what you get compared to filming in the UK at Pinewood outside of the volume. We just don't actually know. That's just it. It just is what it is. There's usually a reason why we go over generally American company goes over and films in England, is that it's traditionally cheaper for us. We get more bang for the US dollar by doing so. And
also the decisions for what the Grand Inquisitor look like and the decisions in story or editing are not bound by a budget. Those are just creative decisions you do or don't agree with. Just putting that out there like that.
Yeah. Well, there is, I mean, but if we do go with the thesis, there's if you have Leia running around and it looks like what it does because maybe it was just filmed by the second unit director, in half a half a day, but if you had the budget to do a chase sequence for 3 days, that could be the difference. I don't know though. I really don't know.
Or if the the showrunner of the show was like, I just wrote her chasing and it's not a big deal, we're moving on. They just didn't feel that was important to what they wanted to do. They didn't make a big meal out of it, and whether I want them to or not, it's irrelevant. That it doesn't have to do with, they didn't do it because of a budget. Like, look, sometimes you get the exact same amount of money and time, and one artist will produce a different piece of work than another artist. And I don't care if it's drawing or writing or music, that doesn't have to do with the money. It has to do with whether sometimes when you make something that's artistic, you just straight up don't care for it,
Well, the other side of it too is like let's just pretend. I mean, like, once again, they probably don't, but we don't really know. Nobody knows what the budget of Kenobi has been. That hasn't come out, but let's just pretend that Ewan McGregor, he cries in some of those scenes, essentially. Is really emotional moments, and to get those moments right might cost more than somebody just going, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. It doesn't mean that that's not emotional, and the other one is necessarily also, but Kenobi also works with kids, which is, not always ideal. You got to get a performance out of the kid. I mean, we don't really know. I don't want to create a narrative that puts it on the kid. Kenobi's not what so-and-so wanted because the kid took all the budget, but chances are it was it was more expensive to work with the kid. And so you have, I think, a lot of money going into performance and character moments between Kenobi and the people he knows. Whereas Andor, it's like a micro story at the micro level, and Andor is going to be at the macro level, where you're just going to get a bunch of good actors and then have them, do the best with the moments that they have. And so once again, I am curious. I would love to know what the actual budgets of these shows are. I would like to know, what does $100 million get us versus a $200 million show, because it's really not clear, and people have made it sound like Skeleton Crew is going to be the most expensive show, therefore it's going to look like Andor. And I say, no, there's this thing called inflation, and you just don't know.
Rounders was a movie where they spent next to nothing on, and it looked so good that the complaints I heard at the time from my film snob friends were like, this movie it shouldn't look that good. Shouldn't look that good.
Yeah.
It's a stupid story. It's cartoony. I don't know. It's dumb. It looks too good. Should look like a Kevin Smith movie. That's what I heard at that time.
Really?
So, like, how something looks has nothing to do with the budget. It's just artistic taste. And I generally like the work of the cinematographer on this. There are shots that are 100% just a choice that I'm like, I would never, ever shoot a shot with a ship where it's coming straight at you or straight down, because it will always look flatter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how good the composition is, the lighting, the detail in the model. You take something, you point right at it, it goes up, it goes down, it looks flat. Especially if it's a fucking triangle, man. There's a reason why you when you set up shots and you're pitching things, you always take it to a 3/4 angle or low angle. There's just certain things that they made that I'm telling you, like, I think 50% of my problem with that series, if not more, is just there's artistic decisions being made that I just don't care for. It's my personal taste.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the quality of what was made. This is not the kind of thing I enjoy looking at.
It's not, yeah. But when you look at, I mean, Andor looks better. I mean, in my opinion, that's not even really like opinion based at that point. Like, Andor looks more realistic compared to Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I think it's important to, like I said, to remember that they made Obi-Wan Kenobi in Los Angeles, essentially, in Hollywood, or El Segundo, or Manhattan Beach, or whatever you want to call it. Southern California is what we'll call it. And it's not cheap to make movies here. There's a reason that they don't really make movies here anymore. And so once again, just gonna pick on the budget concept. Yeah, we just don't know. We don't know if it, and remember when they made it during COVID, and they made Andor during COVID, and so those places like really kind of overlapped at times, I think, and during production times. So you were going to have one or the other made here or there, and there might have been they were supposed to make Kenobi there originally, and they may have just decided, Kenobi's a character piece. We could do it in Los Angeles. It'll cost more, but then Ewan could be here with his family. He's having a baby, I think, at the time, and they don't have to travel. And then it's be a character piece, so we could get away with volume work a lot more than we can on Andor, where we're trying to do like this political intrigue. But if the backgrounds, if it looks like a cartoon, those politics on top of a cartoon, they don't play the same. So there may have been an actual like choice there, or Lucasfilm could just be batshit insane. That's possible too.
Or all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. But well, anything else to add, Rob, before we call it a day?
No, I've said too much.
No, I agree. I think we have. I think we need to get the fuck out. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We started early today, but because of the image, we wanted to get ahead of the story and call it fake or call it real. And we ended on calling it fake. And I think I found the image that completely confirmed it. So I think we did it. I think today we weren't leakers, we were debunkers today, which is weird.
Yeah, we debunked it.
So but if anything happens, I'll jump back on and we'll cover it. And so be cool. Thanks for liking the video and for subscribing to the channel and all that jazz. And leave a comment, if you're watching this on the replay, and I'll try to get to it or address it. Rob will probably chastise you. It'll be fun. All right. So night, Rob, or good day, Rob, or whatever.
Good day, mate.
Oh no.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go.
Hey! It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go.
Hey! It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You should go.
Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.
Hey!